Welcome back to Talking Water with SwitchWaterSupplier.com. I'm David Eason, and I've got Graham Mann from SwitchWaterSupplier.com alongside me once again. And we're going to talk a couple of your questions once more. And these are questions from Sam at Great British Water, who has a job title of...
He is the water procurement specialist.
A specialist indeed. Water procurement. So, interesting questions here, Sam. I'm going to give you a big tick for that to start with. So, first of all, he starts with the Welsh market. We've spoken about the English market and the Scottish market. We've not spoken about the Welsh market. Will it ever be deregulated? I didn't know it wasn't. Do you think it should be?
Yeah, we've not touched on the Welsh market. Well, the water in Wales is basically run by the Welsh government. They've not entered into the deregulated market, and the answer to the question is probably never.
Really?
Yeah, probably never. It actually works very, very well. It's reinvested back into the country of Wales. It's difficult, really, to think. Well, it's part of the UK, isn't it?
It is very much part of the UK, Wales. Yes,
Wales.
I know it's Talking Water. We're answering all the questions here, but yes, Wales is in the UK.
Geography wasn't my strong point.
No. All I know that they got very upset a couple of hundred years ago when Liverpool decided to put a pipe in Lake Vyrnwy. And so Liverpool gets all the Welsh water. I know that because I'm from Liverpool.
I've only ever been to Wales once. Absolutely fantastic.
It's very wet at times. It does rain.
But they do admit to that, though, don't they?
It is very wet.
So they've got plenty of water. And they charge an absolute fortune for it, by the way. It's very expensive. Water and wastewater cost reduction.
Interesting though. I mean, if companies there are kind of stuck, they can't. If that will be very much the old school market, or not even a market.
I think if you hit 50,000 cubic meters, I think you can apply for a different tariff, or you can switch for water above 50,000 cubic meters. But yeah, generally you can't. But again, water efficiency is the key here. So the costs are very, very expensive. The surface water charges, that's the charges for the collection and disposal of rainwater, those charges are quite high, and they're built into the sewage tariff or the wastewater tariff of your meter. So check to see if your water, if it doesn't go down where's Welsh water's drain and it goes into a watercourse or it goes into the ground, then you can apply for a reduced charge and get a refund that goes back to the beginning of the year. So that's one aspect of those charges. But yeah, in answer to your question, no, it'll probably stay how it is at the minute. Customers can't switch, but it works very, very well. So yeah.
But possibly still ways to save there. Okay, just looking at keeping with deregulation, I suppose, and can you see the English water market ending up like the Scottish water market with higher out-of-contract rates and more people switching away from default suppliers? A question he's put a bit of spin on there, from a spin on the ball from Sam, but is that the way it's going, and is that the way that it might well end up in England?
Well, I've been asking a couple of water retail executives about this because I wasn't quite sure of the answer. So I knew men that can come back to me with their views. One CEO has said that yes, maybe one day, but the only way to get there is to replicate the margins, i.e. 20 to 30% in Scotland, whereas England, the margins are 5 to 10%. And if it was ever going to happen, it will be over 10, 15 years. So the answer to the question is eventually we might get there. But having said that, discounts drive participation, don't they? But there's an awful lot of businesses in Scotland that haven't switched or not reviewed their contracts. So even on those times, we've switched one or two businesses up there that were on default charges and have been since deregulation, which is 11 years now in Scotland. So the emphasis, I suppose, is on cost reduction. So you might not make a huge saving by switching water supplier in England, but if you've got multiple sites or you're paying large bills, there will be a significant saving there. But be assured that if they use the platform, they will get the best possible deal because it's a competitive environment. So companies bid for your business on like a reverse auction basis with the best deal at the top in descending order. But again, not always the best bid wins. But the emphasis is really on cost reduction and auditing charges. So what I could say is that businesses, if they actually engage with the switching process, then further down the line they'll make further savings through water efficiency and cost reduction services.
And the point being here that leads on to the final question from Sam, which is one I want to kind of wind you up with, which is, again, in your experience here in the UK, what percentage of businesses do you think are overpaying on their water bills, or they're out of contract and they're able to make that move right now using switchwatersupplier.com?
Wow. That's the $1 million question, Sam. That's entirely unfair.
Is it more than $1 million? And that's the main thing. There's money that's going on. I would say every time we do this, there's money going down the drain.
I wonder if whatever answer I give, someone's going to come back and say, that's not true. How do you find that? Where is your information source? This is purely a guess, finger in the air. Right, so there will be businesses that participated in the water retail market when the market opened. There'll be businesses that switched 3 years ago and they need to revise their contracts. And there'll be tens of thousands of businesses who have not even engaged with the market for whatever reason. They might not have the confidence to do it. They might not have any representation. But there are a huge number of businesses that haven't switched. There's a huge number of businesses that are on deals that aren't particularly very good in terms of their overall savings. There's a huge number of customers that are overpaying. I'm seeing contracts that were signed 1 or 2 years ago where the tariffs applied to the bills are incorrect, amounting to tens of thousands of pounds of overpayments. As regards how many businesses are being overcharged at the minute, I think with a high degree of confidence, I would say 7 out of 10 businesses in the United Kingdom are being overcharged on their bills.
70% of businesses.
Yeah.
Is that something? I mean, that's almost a conservative figure, you think?
Yeah, I mean, since
give me that number again.
7 out of 10.
7 out of 10 businesses are overpaying on their water bills.
This is what the data from customers that sign up with us. It's 7 out of 10. I can think of one care home business that's been with us probably 7, 8, 9 years, and the savings of refunds have been $750,000, and that's all down to overcharging, and that's a huge amount of money. It's a huge amount of money. I don't. We've covered this once or twice, haven't we, for different subjects in different categories, and we drift onto the same subject because market deregulation was supposed to help customers, give them choice, which is what it does, create competition, which is what it does, and make savings for customers, which it does to a more or lesser degree depending on your geographical location. Now in Scotland, there's 20-30% savings if you can switch because of the default charging arrangements up there. England is 5 to 10% difference. But the emphasis has to be on getting your bills right, checking the charges. And when market was deregulated, all the data from all the businesses and the public sector went into an electronic filing cabinet. And that's the central market operating system. So all the data's in there. And then when a retailer wants to bill a customer, they extract the data from that system, the wholesale market data. They then put it into their billing system, and then they add their retail margin. They're there to bill. They cannot possibly check whether or not the wholesale charges are correct. And invariably, they're not. Now, I think 2 weeks ago, we put through a client spending £1 million a year. So it's a £3 million water retail contract, manufacturing across 22 sites. We've already found one site with a £35,000 a year overcharge. So there's £300,000 to £400,000 to come back. And that's gone on for years. And when I say 7 out of 10, I can quite confidently, if I was to look at 7 out of 10, or 10 customers, 7 out of those 10 customers would have been overcharged to a more or lesser degree. And it's quite a serious situation we've got in the UK. It's one which we're extremely passionate about. In fact, I'm citing another case study, yet another one. A care home company had just switched water supplier, and the FD said, well, we've switched, there's nothing more that can be done. So, well, we'll audit your bills and see if anything can be saved. And on one site, they were paying for the water twice. So there was a meter in the pavement, the meter inside the building, and so they were being billed twice for the same supplier. We've recently got that money back, and there's been other charges as well, £18,000 overcharge just on that. And they've been with this supplier now a year. Previous supplier was 3, 4, 5 years. So it's not for the retailer to audit the bills, it's for the customers to check that the bills are correct, because the retailer has no way of knowing what the charges are until the wholesaler sends them a bill, and they've no way of knowing whether those charges are correct or not. So they can't really drill down on the charges. That's specialist work that businesses such as switchwatersupplier.com do on a regular basis.
How angry does this make you?
Well, it does fire me up, because I think there was a misconception that the market was deregulated so that customers could save lots of money and choose their supplier. Well, they can choose a supplier to a certain extent, of course they can. But so much in the transition between a nationalised business and then deregulated business, in that transition, it's got worse, not better. The processing of incorrect charging and for refunds is taken 200% more, if you can have a percentage of that. It can take you months and months and months. We're working on cases that go back 2 and 3 years on incorrect charging. Basic stuff, and we're not the only business. There are other businesses out there that provide water consultancy services, but it's only when we actually switch the supplier and the bills come to us for bill validation and verification that we start drilling down on that. And so I think the biggest one we've seen is a hotel group where they were being overcharged nearly £70,000 a year. And the procurement director said, we got a deal, I've dealt with it. Well, there's 3 hotels that are on the wrong tariff, and they've been like that for 2 years. So the money you thought you were saving on your retail fee has gone out for overcharge, £150,000. They spend £1 million a year. One could say that what's 150 grand overcharge, but it's a serious amount of money, isn't it? But it takes you months to get it back. Could take you 6 to 9 months to get this money back. So I don't know how we deal with it. At the end of the day, it's when the bills land on our desk once we switch the supplier. That's the road to future savings. That's the road to making sure your bills are correct. And we do work with retailers to correct these charges. So it's not their fault. It's not. It's the wholesale water market that's at fault with this. And the retailers are just billing in accordance with the wholesale market data. Yeah. Strange times.
I'm going to leave that there. Well, he's just getting off his high horse. But it's
with a bump.
Exactly. But no, to be fair, it is the point you need to make. And you can switch water supplier. You can switch with switchwatersupplier.com. And the main thing is you can save yourself and your business a whole load of cash. And why wouldn't you dig a bit deeper and find out more with switchwatersupplier.com. We'll see you next time.